Hey guys, Attorney Walter Knott. So I wanted to go through something really quickly with you pertaining to the marriage penalty rule. Now, as you know, a lot of people are upset about this particular rule. I've had people yell at me because I haven't done enough coverage on it. I've had people try to tell me how it works and then they're wrong. And then I got to be like, this is actually how it works. Let's go through it real quick. That way we've got a base understanding of how the marriage penalty rule works. It's only for SSI people. All right, here's an article. I always like to bring up an article and then I add my comments to it. It's from the World Institute on Disability. Marriage penalty prevents marriage equity for people with disabilities. This is by Sarah Kim. You've probably heard of marriage equality or marriage equity, likely in the context of LGBTQ plus rights. But there's another kind of marriage inequity affecting people with disabilities. Howdy, love pugs. The disability marriage penalty. In this context, marriage penalty refers to a series of Social Security rules that trigger reductions or complete losses of disability benefits for otherwise qualified individuals when they get married. Remember, this is for SSI people. The disability marriage penalty punishes people with disabilities in the U.S. who get married by stripping them of disability benefits such as Social Security benefits and Medicaid. The clause has remained a part of the benefits policy for years, affecting many thousands of people with disabilities. Consequently, marriage rates among supplemental security income recipients are half that of the general public. Once again, to summarize, supplemental security income, poverty-based disability program. If you get married, they do what's called a deeming review, and that hurts married people. That hurts people basically receiving funds. That hurts people who are married to somebody else who basically have an issue where if one person is married to another person and they both have SSI, they reduce both of their benefits. If the one person marries another person, then they have to do a deeming of that other person's assets to see if that person has too much money, and then therefore it reduces the SSI person's benefits, etc. All right, SSI is a needs-based program. I've always hated how they put that, a needs-based program. I've never liked that phrasing. I feel like we could come up with a better phrasing for SSI. SSI is a needs-based program that is based on an individual's income and assets. The SSI program is for people with disabilities, including children and older adults who have limited income and resources. When they say older adults, they basically mean anybody, but more specifically based on their statutes, 65 plusers. Okay. State programs can supplement federal SSI benefits. When the individual gets married, joint income and assets are evaluated when determining whether a person is still eligible for the benefits. This is called the deeming aspect. They do it at element one of the 5 elements, basically, when you have a person going through the 5-step sequential process. Due to this marriage penalty, the system has made it so that many people with disabilities cannot get married. And I like that this article talks about this other part, or start a family. Good job when you wrote this article, person who wrote this article. This stems from longstanding institutionalized ableism that is actively prevents people with disabilities from living long, fulfilling lives. Some disability rights advocates trace the marriage penalty back to the eugenics and institutionalization movements beginning in the 19th century and continuing in population through the 1940s. These entrenched policies of discrimination included forced sterilization of disabled people and segregated disabled individuals from interacting with non-disabled people in the belief that they were preventing disabilities from spreading to offspring. Although practices like the marriage penalty aren't as overtly ableist as practices of the past, this still keeps people with disabilities from accessing the same caliber of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that their non-disabled counterparts have. Okay. Why people with disabilities forego marriage or resort to divorce. When deciding to offer disability benefits, the Social Security Administration assesses one's income and assets. This can be a problem for married couples because they may be disqualified if their combined bank balance is greater than $3,000. Too often, right? So remember, if you have more than $3,000 in the bank as a couple, then they can say the person's not eligible for SSI at that point because they have too much of an asset in the bank, right? But it's just one SSI person, it's a $2,000 limit. They want to raise that up to $10,000, SSI Restoration Act, yada yada. But let's keep reading. Too often, these combined assets and incomes are too high to qualify for federal assistance. A common assumption is that a non-disabled partner would take care of their disabled spouse financially and medically, and that additionally supports would not be necessary, which is, of course, a lie because can anybody afford medical treatment anymore? I mean, can anybody? I pay so much per month in medical treatment. Between that and my student loans, I'm always broke. All right, this is not the case for many couples and puts the disabled person at a disadvantage, leaving them completely dependent on their partner, which can also leave them more vulnerable to abuse with no personal income to protect them. For couples who both have disabilities, the impact is even greater. Married couples are allowed to have fewer assets than each party would have as individuals. After they marry, they'll receive about 25% less in benefits than they did as two unmarried individuals. That's Sweetie barking to come in. She, of course, had to leave right before I started the video. The assumption behind this is that the couple can live on less income together than as an individual. Even though we both know with this new amazing galloping inflation we have that nobody can afford anything anymore. So, it's really time to pass that SSI Restoration Act. I don't know if this article talks about that, but we're going to go into another video about how Biden can actually fix everything for 2023, like how he could do it. Because at this point, the budget stuff has already been done for 2022. It's done. So now we're looking at 2023. Can we make this a reality? All right. The assumption behind this is that the couple can live on less income together than as an individual because they're both sharing in that gallon jug as opposed to that half a gallon jug. However, many disability assistance programs, such as community-based services, home care aides, and long-term care facilities, only accept Medicaid recipients. And the only way to qualify for Medicaid is to fall below certain income thresholds. This presents itself as a catch-22. If an individual can afford private health insurance, healthcare costs for people with disabilities are often much higher than those for non-disabled people. Keep in mind, though, people for most states in the United States at this point, if you get on SSI, you automatically get Medicaid. According to the U.S. Census, employees with disabilities earn on average 66 cents for every dollar earned by non-disabled peers, putting them at or below the poverty line. Paying for healthcare, housing, and the basic cost of living can be nearly impossible. So for many individuals with disabilities, remaining unmarried is unfortunately the only way of survival. And it is. Like, it's not a, hey, it's kind of close. It's like literally, they would not be able to afford food and a roof if they had a significant other that they were married to. And now with these CDI units that they're coming out with, they're going to be investigating more SSI people. Are you married to this individual? Well, the state defines marriage, not the federal government. Oh, but it looks like you're holding yourself out as married. Oh. Often happily married individuals with disabilities resort to divorce simply to gain access to health care and benefits. In fact, according to OZY, between 2009 and 2019, nearly 1.1 million Americans with disabilities got divorced, compared to 593,000 who got married. Roughly twice as many people with disabilities got divorced than married. The whole point of it is they just need to get that little bit of extra benefits, so they're getting rid of their spouse, or at least the title of the spouse. But don't think this isn't going to trigger future CDIs in the future, where they're trying to do fraud prevention of people who are still with that significant other, holding themselves out as a married person. However, even if an individual with a disability isn't legally married, SSA can disqualify them for holding. Okay, there you go. Holding out as a married couple. The federal agency finds out that the individual is cohabitating with their partner and sharing living expenses, they can still lose their benefits even if they're not married. Excellent. The proper function of man is to live, not exist. I love the quote. We all know the quote. Indeed. Thank you, good sir, for the $5 donation. I appreciate it. Excellent. Also, there's a lot of things that just are awesome. But anyway, I'll catch up with you a little bit later about it. But anyway, disability benefit regulations in the U.S. are outdated and inequitable and immoral and unethical. I'll just add some more in there. Most of the SSI eligibility rules have not been updated since President Nixon signed the Social Security amendments into law in 1972. The amount of money recipients receive has also been stagnant, not accounting for inflation. So it's slowly risen, but not at the level it needs to. Why? Because it's following this BS COLA, and we know the consumer price index is more accurate. And frankly, the consumer price index, unfortunately, isn't even enough in itself to cover things, especially in this post-COVID world, which always brings up the point of, with supercomputers and brilliant, highly educated individuals looking at the economy, it does make you wonder how they could screw it up this big to allow for galloping inflation to occur, where Walmart food is now more than fast food, right? You would think they would have figured that out or been able to catch that or do a little bit better job than that, than to have the chaos we have now. That's the thing too. Like, if we were to have a situation where people were trying to buy a bunch of toilet paper, they wouldn't be able to afford the toilet paper now. That's how sad it is. In June 2021, the Supplemental Security Income Restoration Act was introduced to the House of Representatives by Representative Raul Grijalva, Democrat, Arizona Representative Jan Schakowsky. I don't know how to pronounce their names. I know the senators more, but and Representative Eliza Slotkin, Democrat, Michigan, and in the Senate by Senator Sherrod Brown. There's Democrat, Ohio. The bill would modernize SSI benefit programs and improve the lives of nearly 8 million people with disabilities and seniors. The SSI Restoration Act would, and there's actually more it could do. I've been fiddling in the little moments that I have to do something other than the millions of things I have to do on building a better SSI Restoration Act. The SSI Restoration Act would, so mine does actually more than this, eliminate the disability marriage penalty by setting the SSI couple benefit rate to 2 times the individual rate. Increase the asset cap for individuals from $2,000 to $10,000, for couples from $3,000 to $20,000. Increase the benefit rate to match the federal poverty line and adjust for inflation. And allow people, to increase their $800 per month up to the federal benefit rate, which would be over $1,073 at this point, which is like the 100% of the federal poverty rate. That's what they're trying to do here. Allow people with disabilities to work and earn up to $416 per month without their SSI being reduced based on their income. Which seriously though, the 416, they gotta up that. Like SSI people should be able to have some sort of side hustle per month to earn more. They should be allowed to do that. They just should, unless Biden comes in with a tax for people who earn more than $600. The time for updating SSI policies is long overdue, and this act has the potential to rectify a longstanding injustice. People with disabilities have been forced to choose between love and survival as a result of archaic policies. The bill is yet to be passed, but civilian engagement could tip the balance in its favor. I think this was built, or written rather, in 2001, but it doesn't have a date on it. This seems like a 2021 kind of article, so like last year. But the bottom line is this. There was a massive expectation, seeing how it was proposed on the pre-White House website of Joseph Biden, President Biden, that he intended to pass many of the legislation, the proposals in the SSI Restoration Act. And then, of course, his plans always get foiled by the Republicans and 2 Democrats. And apparently nobody is capable of negotiating anymore in the Senate or the House to pass these things, because apparently the American people are just the only ones who are going to have to suffer every single time because of their inability to get along and make a deal. The only people who suffer, the American people. They passed their raises just fine. Woo, man, those went through just like lightning every time. So anyways, guys, I just wanted to give you a quick summary as to the problems with the marriage penalty rule. The marriage penalty rule, and this article started to talk about it, and then it segued away from it. What it does is it prevents people from having kind of a purpose to life through another person, which is sometimes a good thing, sometimes a bad thing. But most people like to have a sidekick along their adventures of life. And SSI rules pertaining to income limitations, known as the marriage penalty rule, restrict a person's ability to date somebody else, to go ahead and marry that person, to go ahead and have kids with that person, to go ahead and basically have the freedom and function of a person in life. Now, the SSA does not argue, or even, you don't hear a peep with them about the marriage penalty rule. You just don't. And the reason why is they underutilize their news desk feature, right? So once a month, once every 2 months, you'll get an update. It's a big month when there's 2 updates. And they never talk about the hot topics that Congress might be talking about or changing or passing, because they don't want to weigh in, because the SSA is hands off. It's not their job to pass law. It's just their job to distribute the funds as the law dictates. But I think realistically, it is with our expectation, not to be whatever, but it is our expectation that President Biden had the intent, should push through the SSI Restoration Act. But it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen in 2022, because the budget for most of everything has already been passed. So what we're looking at is what could be done for 2023. And I know the whole illegals thing, I'm not going to go into that with this video, but I know. It just, the Americans don't get as much as the illegals at this point in many aspects of not only transportation, financial well-being, housing. I know. I'm upset and I'm angry too. I know. So, all right, guys, this is a short video. I'm going to be doing a little bit, another short video on what Biden can do to basically make 2023 a success. Obviously, we don't know how the November elections are going to be going. He could lose his ability to go ahead and guide the House and the Senate. For all the people in the comments who always go, it's not his job to, promote the ideas that made him president that he told all the people he wanted to do. My response to that would be, it is his job to tell the House of Representatives and the senators specifically those bills that he's interested so that they can work on them. It is his job. It's always been the president's job. That's the point of the president. They're the leader of all of these Congress people that can pass bills. They push their agenda. That's how they got picked, because we picked them for the agenda that they liked and sold to us and then didn't pass because apparently 2 Democrats ruined the entire plan. It's a show. It's a show, guys. Enjoy the TV show. I hope you enjoyed the ups and downs. Of course, we all get screwed out of the deal, but it's a show. Anyways, I'll catch you a little bit later. I hope you guys are well. Please remember to like, subscribe, leave 5-star reviews. I have to update the whole thing with the 5-star reviews, but there's still, you just scroll down in the bio area. They're right there. Anyways, I'll catch you a little bit later and have a wonderful, wonderful night. I'll be back in about 7 to 10 minutes. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.